Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Amma ba'd, we continue with the 7th and inshallah 8th nullifier from the Nawaqid al-Islam treatise by Muhammad ibn AbdulWahhaab, rahimahullah. And hopefully in doing so, we can complete this week, and then next week the 9th and 10th, and then inshallah we'll finish, and then that way we'll have a new series bidnillah after Ramadan. The 7th nullifier, السحر ومنه صرف والعطف فمن فعله أو رضي به كفر والدليل قول الله تعالى وما يعلمني من أحد حتى يقول إنما نحن فتنة فلا تكفر. Sorcery or magic, which includes a sarf, which causes alienation, meaning people to be moved away from each other, and al-atf, people to be affectionate or to be attached and attracted to one another. He who practices it or pleases with it is a disbeliever. He's pleased with it is a disbeliever. And the evidence of this is the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High, but neither of these two angels, Harut and Marut, taught anyone until they said, we are only a fitna, a trial, so do not disbelieve. When it comes to a sihr here is magic. There's no such thing as black magic and white magic. All of it is magic. Magic is haram in Islam. For a person to be a witch or a sorcerer, to get to that level, this is not allowed. And when we say magic that is haram, this haram could be to the level of kufr, ayadan billah, where you're talking about people that do with shayateen to do certain things. Like here, these are examples. As-sarf and al-atf are examples. People to get divorced, or people to be attracted to each other, or people to be harmed, etc. These are examples. This is kufr. Why? Because you are dealing with jinn. Or that which is along the lines of magic. A person going to achieve something through an unknown way. Okay, and you have like modern magicians when they do magic tricks. Okay, khifat yad, in Arabic they call it, where they, for example, have cards and they do something that you don't understand, or they do a trick, something's there and then it's hidden, or they unlock a lock that's impossible, or it looks like, for example, they split a person in half, etc. These things, even though it doesn't reach the level of kufr, it's still haram. It's still haram. Why? Because on the way to kufr. It's not kufr in itself. Why? Because they haven't committed an act of kufr. There was nothing in it that they done in which there was an act of kufr committed. But they are trying to, through their fastness or through their ease and their strength in the ability to fool another person, they are giving you an illusion that they are doing something that wasn't possible. Okay, they done it through how quick they were, through something hidden, or through optical illusions, etc. So it wasn't through a means of kufr that they achieved it, and that's why it doesn't reach the level of kufr. It's still haram because it leads to ayadhan billah that kufr later on. Okay, it leads a person to kufr ayadhan billah, but we make that differentiation. Okay, not everything that is haram is kufr, and that which is kufr may have something that leads to it, which would make it haram. These are two examples, as we said, as-sarf and al-atf, to bring people away from it, to move people away from each other, or to bring people closer to one another. Whoever does it, man fa'alahu. Whoever does it, aw radiya bihi, or he's happy that it's done. For example, he goes to a magician and he pays the magician to get this done. Kafar. He has committed kufr. And the evidence is the verse, or the part of the verse that we mentioned. Allah Azza wa Jal sent to the people of Iraq and Babylon at that time, Babil. He sent Harut and Marut. These were two angels that were sent down. And Allah Azza wa Jal showed the people through these two angels what magic is. And this was a fitna for the people. And they warned the people that this is a fitna. And they warned the people that whoever does it falls into kufr. And Allah Azza wa Jal told them, as mentioned in the Quran, through the angels, that whoever does this has no share in the hereafter. When a person commits kufr, and if he dies upon it, then this is kufr akbar. Assalamu alaikum. There's no Jannah for you. This is Jahannam forever. So if you get involved in this is at your own risk. Someone may ask that, what's the wisdom of that? Like any other test, this was a test for the people. This was a test for the people. They could choose or they could abstain. Explanation: magic is defined in many ways by the scholars, but the closest definition is ruqya, words said by magicians and knots which affect the heart and body of someone, leading to sickness and or death, or separating a husband and a wife. Ruqya Shar'iyya is the Islamic type of ruqya, exorcism, protection, etc. But then you got a ruqya al-muharrama. Okay, that which is prohibited, which is through means which are prohibited, and we'll explain a little bit more later on, inshallah. Number one, the two types of magic. Magic by using ruqya and knots. This type is done with the help of shayateen, evil beings, by worshipping them so that they provide their services to the magicians. This type of shirk, polytheism, this is a type of shirk, polytheism, and whoever practices it is a kafir infidel. So the first type is the one that's done. This is what they refer to in English as black magic. So a person that gets involved in actual sorcery, in dealing with the jinn, and then them harming others. How do they get to do with the jinn? First and foremost, there's no such thing called dealing with good jinn only. This does not exist. The word jinn comes from the root letters in the word jinn is jeen, the jim and the noon. The jim and the noon. And you find when these two letters are there in the Arabic language, it generally is talking about something which is unknown, something which is hidden. Let's say your Arabic skills. The fetus in Arabic is called what? Fetus. Baby in the stomach of the mother. When it's actually a baby, habibi. ما بتعرف؟ Allah يهديك. Someone said something? No one want to try? Failures. Janeen. Okay, again, the jim there and the noon's there. Why? Because it's hidden. You can't see it. It's inside the stomach of the mother. A person that's mentally unstable, or they're mentally sick, or they have a mental health issue, they are called majnoon. Okay, the jim is there and the noon is there. Why? Because it is unseen. It's something hidden. It's not a physical ailment that you can easily say, okay, this is a scar, this is a scratch, this is a broken bone. This is something that is hidden. Okay? The jinn also fall into that realm of the unseen. The reason they're called jinn is because they're unseen. They're unseen because we're not meant to interact with them. We can't see them, they can see us, but the interactions are separate. They have their own world, we have our own world. We have our rules, they have their rules that they need to abide by. From amongst those rules is that we are not to interact with one another. So when a person says, I'm working with good jinn, how can a good jinn be doing something he's not meant to do? Which is interacting with us. And how can you be a righteous person and be interacting with them when you're not meant to be interacting with them? This is something that is very problematic, and there are certain cultures where they were fooled by this. Or this person's like a wali, or he's a good sheikh. How? He deals with the jinn. Now he only deals with the good jinn. Wrong. If he was a good person and they were good, he wouldn't be dealing with them and they wouldn't be dealing with him. How did they come to the service of this person? They came to the service of this person because he had to do something which was satanic. And they usually do things which are extreme, ayadan billah. I don't want to mention now because there are kids, but they are very bad acts that a person does. A very extreme type of kufr, ayadan billah, in which he gets closer to the shaitan, and then the shaitan and the shayateen are happy to serve him. They're happy to serve him. You do this and then we'll do that. The ultimate goal of the shayateen is to lead a person to kufr. That's the ultimate purpose of the shayateen. So if you can do 8 major acts of kufr, and then ayadan billah cause other people to fall into that kufr because of them falling into sihr and the like, then the shayateen are happy with this. Ayadan billah. May Allah save us and all of the believers from the strong understanding and from the evil effects of sihr. So the magicians, they work with the shayateen by doing first and foremost acts of kufr. Then after that, by causing harm and the like to others. Harm by, for example, destroying marriages. Harm by causing a person to be attracted to another person, even though they're not worthy of them, or they're very bad people, or they've got a lot of faults that would cause a person to leave them, but they make them stay. Okay, the shaitan affect them. Or it could be about sickness, or it could be a problem with their business, or it could be about prevention of having children, etc. There are a lot of different types of sihr that happens. And you'll see, if you haven't already, in many different types of writings that they will do, where they call upon like prayers towards the shayateen and seeking protection from the shayateen. A lot of people, again, I'm talking about the Lebanese community, a lot of people when they were younger, they would have received what they call the hijab. You guys know what I'm talking about? The little thing, it's wrapped up, you put it on your arm, or some people wore it on their neck, or they put it under their pillow, etc. Called the hijab. And the golden rule was never open it. That was the golden rule. Never open it. Now, once you actually go and you open it, you say, hold on a second, I thought it was meant to be Quran in here. There's writing, it's not understood, there are names that are ununderstood, there are numbers, there are boxes, there are pentagrams, there are a whole bunch of things that should not be there if you're talking about strictly Quran. Okay? And these are examples of how people, ayadhan billah, use kufr and shirk, and they make it look like they're doing something Islamic, but the reality is that they are magicians and sorcerers. Naam. Or a person, they go and they will, you see them like with bowls, they'll put, this is the kids, man, wallah, I don't want to scare them. They do things to dolls where they put magic in it, and I don't want to keep on going. Whoever's kids has nightmares, I apologize. Now, kids, you're fine, alhamdulillah. Do your afkar and you'll be fine, inshallah. Make sure you read the little Quran before you sleep and you're fine, inshallah. Now, where they tie knots, and this is how nafathati fil uqad, they keep the magic in there, etc. All of this, we know it's wrong, and it's all from shirk. So a person who does it himself, ayadhan billah, has fallen into kufr and shirk. And a person who goes to them knowing that they do this is also kufr and shirk, ayadhan billah. This is also kufr and shirk, ayadhan billah. Do we make takfir on the one who goes to a good shaykh because they didn't know and they went for something honorable, like their son and their daughter having marriage problems, so she goes to the good shaykh to write something which they think is like Islamic for them to get them to love each other more? Not necessarily. Again, then there's al-udhr bil-jahl. We go back to it and we mention the excuses of ignorance, the things that prevent them from falling into kufr. The action is wrong, the action is kufr. But we don't say automatically, if your grandmother done it or your mother done it, automatically kafir or kafira. Okay? Mahlan, mahlan, ya ahl al-sunnah. Now, take your time, ya ahl al-sunnah, when it comes to making takfir on someone. People that is the sorcerer, he knows what he has to do, ayadhan billah. This is kufr. He's known. You don't have to give him salam, you don't pray on him, etc. He's known. Naam. As for the one who went there thinking that he was a good sheikh or whatever, this is a different story. Okay, we don't need to rush to make takfir on them. Then you have the second type, magic by using herbs and medicine. So this is by using natural means which are not necessarily proven. If a person goes to, for example, a naturopath or someone who's like a herbal doctor, and there are things now which are scientifically proven. Okay, take this herb or take this vegetable or take this medicine for this particular reason, and it's proven that it assists, no problem. Okay? But if someone brings things which are not proven, like I told you, for example, here, eat 3 tissues a day and inshallah you'll be safe from cancer. Okay? This is an innovation, obviously, for me to claim such a fact, but it doesn't reach the level of kufr. And in the olden times, especially before medical advancements and scientific research, you can understand how many things were not known. So there were things which were clear cut. For example, the revelation says that all its effects are clear. And there are things which are unknown. And there are things which are questionable. And that's the second type of magic that we're talking about by using herbs and medicine. This may have some effect on people's vision. There is a dispute amongst the scholars with regard to this type of magic and whether it constitutes apostasy or not. Imam Muhammad rahimahullah said in his tafsir, Adwa al-Bayan, if the magic is for seeking help with some special material such as oils, etc., then this type is highly forbidden, but does not constitute apostasy. It does not constitute apostasy. So it is haram, but again, they haven't fallen into a mukaffir. Person says, here, take this drink, you feel better. Take this drink or give her this drink, and she'll love you, etc. Now, because they're using something which is a means, it is a means other than that which is kufr. Using the jinn and getting close to the jinn was kufr. This is something natural. Now, so it's haram because you don't have evidence for it, but it is not a matter of kufr, ayadhan billah. There is another issue here. Does the magician deserve capital punishment or not? There are 2 opinions of the scholars. Firstly, just again to further clarify, if a person went to a naturopath or someone like a herbal doctor or the like, and they are giving you something which is proven, there is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Okay? This helps with your iron deficiency, this helps with your testosterone, this helps with your emotional health. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, there's nothing like that which is proven. We're talking about here, funky things for a person, to get things that are not appropriate. Or things which are not proven to achieve some sort of goal that he has. But it's not kufr, ayadhan billah. When it comes to the sahir and his punishment under Sharia, not you and your mates, under Sharia, is he deserving of punishment? The scholars have 2 opinions. The first one, yes, he does. By practicing any kind of magic, and this is the opinion of the majority of scholars, and it is the choice of Imam Malik rahimahullah and Imam Ahmad rahimahullah. So a person who's proven to be a sahir, proven to be a sahir, not rumors, proven to be a sahir, that person is killed. Okay, that person is killed under Sharia. Number two, no, he does not, unless he practices some actions that constitute apostasy. This is the choice of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah. If he is shown or proven that he has caused or done an act which took him outside of the fold of Islam, like calling upon shayateen, etc. Okay, like calling upon shayateen, then that takes him outside of the fold of Islam, and so he's killed because he's a murtad. He's killed because he's a murtad. Or in other cases, where he is killed because he done something that led to the death of someone else, etc. Okay, so some of the scholars, they don't say he gets killed straight away, but if he's done something like kufr, then he's killed as a murtad, or he done something that led to the death of someone else. Okay, then he's killed as al-ainu bil-ain, etc. In Saudi, there used to be, I don't know any recent videos, but there's like videos of them, for example, actually like doing full operations and like hidden cameras, etc., to set up and to find who are the sorcerers. Okay, and they would be killed. Now, but it's a full operation to catch them in the act. You know, someone coming and telling them that, I want this to happen to this person, so they'll give them certain things, or they'll write certain things, or they'll find them slaughtering certain animals, etc. Yani, they would capture them and they would trial them, and if they found guilty, then they would be put to death. No, they would be put to death. How do we cure magic? There are two ways. An-nushra, the act of seeking cure from magical spells, incantations, and the like, which means going to a magician to undo the magic. This is haram, forbidden, and could lead to kufr. If the person practices some kufr actions, the magician might request from him. Jabir radhiyallahu anhu narrates that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked about nushra, and he said it is of the deeds of a shaitan. Also, asking a magician and believing him is kufr, infidelity. Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu narrated the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, whoever goes to a fortune teller or a soothsayer and believes in his words has disbelieved in what was revealed to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If a person has sihr on him, or they believe that they were affected by sihr or ayn or the like, then they are able to get cure through ruqya shar'iyya. Okay, Islamic ruqya, Islamic exorcism, Islamic cure, whatever you want to call it. Now, that's the second type which we'll talk about inshallah. But if a person goes to a raqi, if a person goes to a sahir, knowing that he's a sahir, and he pays him to use the sihr to get rid of that sihr that's on him, and this is not allowed. And this is if he knows that that sahir got through to the shayateen for acts of kufr, this could be also an act of kufr on that person's behalf, because he's happy to use that which is kufr to cure himself. This is not allowed. Okay? This is bare minimum an act of kufr. There's one person, one story, subhanAllah. There's so many stories when it comes to ruqya. In marriage and divorce, you have a lot of stories. Comes to ruqya, you have a lot of stories. One person, Allah yahdi, he got married to a girl for the visa. She wasn't Muslim, she was like some sort of European. Now, they do a lot of sihr as well. So he got married to her just for the visa, he got his visa, he left. What did she do? She went to a sahir and she put all these jinn on him. What did he do, Allah yahdi? He went to another sahir to get the sihr off him. So, I can't remember the exact amount, but approximately, let's just say $1,000. The sahir said, okay, you've got all this shayateen on you, give me $1,000 and I will get the other jinn off you. What did he do? He tried to do him over as well. He gave him 500, okay, he paid half the amount, and he didn't, and so the person stopped the jinn. He put his own protection where the other shayateen weren't doing anything. Then the sahir wanted the rest of his money, and he didn't pay him. So instead of being stuck with one group of jinn, he didn't pay the sahir, and now he had, mashallah, two groups of jinn attacking him, Allah yahdi. Okay, he's not allowed to get him in the first place. He's not allowed to get him in the first place, and this was wrong as an act. But on top of that, he even tried to cheat him. The guy, Allah yahdi, inshallah, he's waking up to himself now. I haven't seen him in a while, but inshallah, he's better. Now, and that person's state was bad, Allah musta'an. That person's state was bad because he's done the wrong thing from the beginning. A person's not allowed to go to them to get cure. He's not allowed to go to like a non-Muslim priest or whatever to get cure. Some people actually ask, they say like, Shaykh, sometimes we see the priests or whatever it may be, they do ruqya on people and it actually works. And there are some countries where it's unfortunate, but you do have Muslims, especially in some village areas where the knowledge is very, very, very minimal. They'll actually go to the church and the Shaykh does the priest does exorcisms Okay, and sometimes it's in a big gathering and you see them, they'll get the cross and they'll put it on their mouth, and Muslim sisters especially, they feel, oh, I'm getting cured, etc. They're like, how can this happen? How can the person use kufr and shirk and the jinn leave or the person gets cured? But we said the purpose of the shayateen, what's their goal? What's their aim? To lead you to a person to kufr, lead a person to Jahannam. So if they can get you to feel that that person through their kufr done something good, what's going to happen to your iman? It's going to go and you're going to start putting your faith in people like that. So ultimately, the jinn or the shaitan achieved his goal. The shaitan achieved his goal. Jinn is the group of people. Shaitan are the bad jinn. Okay, or shayateen are the bad jinn. Just like you have human beings, okay, al-bashar or bani Adam or insan, okay, and then you have shayateen from amongst bani Adam, shayateen from al-bashar, shayateen from al-insan, the bad from amongst them. Okay, so shayateen are jinn, but not all jinn are bad shayateen. Okay, so when a person sees that, again, don't let your iman be affected. It can happen, okay, because the jinn doesn't care. Khalas, she committed kufr, a'yadhan billah. The jinn is happy. The jinn is happy. As for any other way which is not allowed, then all of these, again, they can be kufr if the act involves kufr, or it can be haram. Okay, or it can be haram if it's some sort of sorcery to tell right or wrong. One practice I seen in some countries, let's say that it's like a big metal spoon, and they'll heat it up. They'll heat it up, and then they go and they burn the tongue of the person to know if they were truthful or liars. Okay? To know if they were truthful or liars. So they say, okay, we burn your tongue and then we see how your tongue reacts. If it reacted this way, then we know that you are a liar. If it reacts this way, we know you're truthful. Okay? Is that kufr or is that just haram? Why? Explain, yeah, explain. There's no dalil? There's nothing that is?
You said it was a means. So this is a means to see, it's not.
Yes, correct. There's a very important part that you're missing.
But they're not saying this is the...
Did they commit anything kufr in it? There was no kufr in it. There was no kufr in it. It was acts and a shower there, and it was wrong, and it was a show, and mabarif shu. But the reality is it an act of kufr, a'adhan billah? No, it's not an act of kufr. Okay, it's not an act of kufr because there's no working with the shayateen, there's no saying, go worship this or go slaughter to this jinn or whatever it may be. There's none of that. Okay, there's none of that. This is an act which they've done, which they act as like a means, like what Abdurrahman said, the medicine that they give, etc. But it's haram. Okay, it's haram because there's no Islamic evidence to back it up. Jayyid. As for going to a fortune teller and the like, if a person goes to a fortune teller or a soothsayer and doesn't believe what they say, like let's say the tarot card readers, etc. Okay, from the punishments, even if a person doesn't believe them, if a person doesn't believe them, then their prayers, etc. are not rewarded. Okay, their prayers are not rewarded, and this is something very dangerous. The prayers are still an obligation, but they're not rewarded for a set period of time, which is a big problem. Then a person shouldn't muck around with these things. Why? Because he doesn't know how his iman could be affected. Especially women. Women are a lot more influenced than men are. And they're a lot easier to influence than men are. And this is a scientific fact for anyone who's like an extreme feminist and he's going to call me misogynistic and racist and sexist, I'm not sure. All the things that you want to call me. This is a scientific fact. Okay? And this is part of why Islamically we have certain measures in place for women not to fall into things that they shouldn't be because they were influenced incorrectly. Okay, like having a wali, like regarding the Dajjal and the like. A lot of women, they go into fortune tellers and they're believing them. What happens with the fortune tellers and the like? They have shayateen. Every single one of us has a qareen. Every single one of us has a jinn with him. Every single one of us. Now, again, there's no interaction, but he's there with you. This qareen, if a person is working with shayateen, it's very easy for that person to work with the individual. And then let's say you, for example, go in as a person that wants to find information about your future. So you walk in and they tell you your name. Before you, Allahu Akbar, they knew my name was Nassim. The person must know ilm al-ghayb. Now, so a person sometimes they go as just something for fun, okay, something or they just want to try, and then the Qur'an tells them my mum's name. That person knows your mum. Like, how did you know my mum? I've never told him anything. No one's ever told him. No one ever knew that I was coming. How did they know all this information? So then they start to fall into the fitna of believing this person. And I remember when I was young, this was something widespread even in the Muslim community. When they'll go to non-Muslims, they're like, yeah, she was right about this and she was right about that. So they go to her for everything. What should I do this? Or what's going to happen in 5 years? Or what's going to happen to my son? And they'll go and believe them. So going to them by itself is not necessarily kufr, but it's a major sin. And it leads to prayers not being rewarded, etc. Believing what they say, is kufr itself. Believing what they say, if it was something that, for example, only Allah Azza wa Jalla knows what's going to happen in the future, etc. This only Allah Azza wa Jalla knows, and you believe them that they had knowledge of the unseen. This is something which is kufr. Okay? We know that the angels, they throw the stars, okay, burning balls of fire at the shayateen who are stealing information from the heavens. When Al-Qadr is being sent down and being written, when Al-Qadr is being from Lawh al-Mahfuz being commanded to the angels, and the angels are commanding the others to fulfill the Qadr, we know that they try and steal pieces of information. So there will be things being mentioned that the shayateen take, and they mix one truth with 99 lies, as the Prophet ﷺ said. Now, so yes, a fortune teller may know some things. The fortune teller may know some things that the shayateen have given them about what's going to happen in the future. But a person doesn't go to them and believe them in the like. Okay, he doesn't know what's truthful and what's not truthful. Nor is it an acceptable means of understanding what is right and wrong in the future. A person is told to stay away from these people altogether. So as part of your faith, part of your iman is not to go to these people whatsoever. Not for fun, not for anything else. And that includes believing people that tell you that there's going to be some effect on your life. For example, you're a Virgo. If you're a Virgo, you're going to have a very good next 6 months. You're going to make a lot of money and your problems are going to go away and you're going to be cured. But if you're a Scorpio, I feel sorry for you. Make sure you stay at home and shave your head and buy Adidas shoes. A person's not allowed to believe these things that are out there, or these people that write about it, etc. How does a person know a sahir? What are some things for us to be careful if we think someone, for example, we're going to him for ruqyah? Or what are some things for us to know that he's a sahir? Firstly, there are obviously some very clear-cut signs. And if a person looks like a shaitan, okay, you go into his house or his room and it's all like satanic stuff and there's pentagrams, this is an obvious sign. We're talking about someone who claims to be Islamic, okay, claims to be someone Islamic, he's like a Shaykh, or he's doing things in an Islamic way. What are some signs? There are some obvious signs, there are not some obvious signs. If you ask, for example, for your mother's name, this is very common. They'll ask for your mother's name. This usually is a total sign that they're going to do some sort of sahar. Okay? Very, 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 very common among Sahara. Now, or they get you to do something which is weed. Okay? Like they say, give me an item of clothing that you have. Or prick your finger and let me get some blood. Or for example, they want something from like your saliva. Like they get you to drink water and you leave your saliva there. Okay? These things are like red flags off the bat. Okay? And hit the runner straight away. Now, or for example, some lesser known things. They write something down but they don't show you what they're writing. Or they put like that hijab and they tell you, never open it. Because it's all sihr inside. Okay? Or for example, they will like whisper things into like a bottle or a cup or as part of the treatment, but they're not letting you hear or understand what they're saying. Naam. Some other obvious signs if they're known not to be righteous. Some people, he only works with good jinn, but the guy's never prayed the day in his life. How's he working with good jinn? This guy, and he meant to make him like a wali. The guy's what wali? The guy hasn't prayed a day in his life. How can he be a wali? Now, if they're not religious, this is a complete obvious sign. Okay, so you need to be very, very, very careful from these people and going to these sorts of individuals. If a person needs some type of ruqyah or Islamic advice regarding it, okay, to people who are very trusted in the community or they're known in the community. And I'll tell you now, there aren't many. And it's a very, very, very sad reality, but there aren't many. And part of the reason is because it's such a hard job. It is not easy to do with cases where people have issues to do with sihr. Even though it's extremely rewarding and it's considered a big type of jihad because you're fighting shayateen. But the majority of people have mental health issues. It's not sihr, it's got nothing to do with sihr. Majority of people have mental health issues. Okay? But what do they blame it on? They blame it on sihr because it's a nice, easy, get out of jail free card. Or it's, as we'll get to the ruqya shar'iyya, it's just people that they've done that much haram in their life, or they have that much haram present in their life, and they do not want to get better. They do not want to put in any effort. They just fell into an issue, now they come to the Shaykh, Shaykh, Allah khalik, help me. And the Shaykh has to sit there working on them constantly to get the person fixed, okay, to the best of their ability, and the person doesn't want to help themselves. Now, but then on top of that is all the men that you have, people coming to people's houses, people calling them non-stop, people trying to get after their family. Then you got attacks from the shayateen. Okay, the shayateen, you become known as a person who's breaking all this sihr and fighting all of these jinn, etc. Now you have a big problem with the sahara, the magician, sending shayateen a'yadhan billah against you. So it's not easy. Okay, it's a very, very, very hard job. If someone is truly interested in it, wallah, there's major rewards. And there's proper steps and proper people to go to learn from. But it's something that takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, and unfortunately there aren't enough people willing to do it, which is very sad. Very sad. The second way of curing magic, okay, is through a ruqya itself, and this is here a ruqya shar'iyya that we're talking about. A ruqya shar'iyya, and this is reciting the Quran. Any verses from the Quran will do, although some are more likely to be more effective, such as chapter 1 in Al-Fatiha, 12, 13 and 14 in Qul huwa ahad, Qul a'udhu bil falaq and Qul a'udhu bin nas, verse 255 of chapter 2, meaning Ayatul Kursi, and supplications from the Sunnah when blowing on the affected body, like A'udhu bi kalimatillahi tammati min sharri ma khalaq. A person says this as a part of his afkar. This is the legal way, meaning the Islamic way, which is allowed to be done. Regarding a ruqya, prevention is better than cure. Okay, prevention is better than cure, and this is something that every single one of us should pay a lot of attention to. Don't wait until la qaddar Allah, you're affected by sihr, you're affected by ayn, you're affected by whatever it may be, and then say, okay, now I need to do something about it. Rather, look after yourself beforehand. Just like prevention is better than cure when it comes to getting sick. Okay, a person should look after himself. You're given adhkar to say in the morning, in the evening, before you sleep, after your prayer. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, read the Quran, make sure your house is covered from the effects of the shayateen, like make dua when you leave, making dua when you enter, before you eat, before you go to the bathroom, etc. All of these things are very important for protecting yourself and protecting your household, protecting your children, etc. Okay? Don't wait until it's too late and then try and find a cure for it. It's very hard. Once it happens, it's very hard to, not very hard, not extremely hard, but it's an inconvenience. Okay? It's an inconvenience. So if you are doing what you need to beforehand, it's very hard for you to get affected by sihr. And if a person who's righteous and was doing the protections, and he was affected for whatever reason by sihr, the effect of it is very weak. The effect of it is very weak. And for him to get cured from it is very easy. But if a person is far away, from ibadah, his iman is low, he's not doing any of the adhkar, etc., then this person, unfortunately, he can get affected, and if he does get affected, it's usually hard. So you got the book Fortress of the Muslim, Husnul Muslim, make sure you read it, make sure you implement it. Okay? Again, the adhkar in the morning before you sleep, in the evening, when you leave your house, when you get into your house, when you go to the bathroom, etc. All of these things are very important. There are a lot of cases where people are affected by issues, and it is jinn, and they don't know it. And there are a lot of cases where people are not affected by jinn at all, but they think that it's jinn. Okay? So we need a healthy balance. We need a healthy balance. How do you know when it's a jinn issue and when it's not? Unless you're very well versed in both mental health issues and the person's background there, and understanding how shayateen work and how sihr works, then it's going to be hard for you to put two and two together. Okay? But the cure either way is going to be the same. Whether you're affected by sihr or not, if you are or not, the advice is exactly the same. Do your adhkar in the morning, do your adhkar in the evening, do your adhkar before you go to sleep. Make sure your prayers are on time, read the Quran, make the dua before you go in your house, outside your house, etc. All of it is going to be the same. So that's why do it, get yourself used to it, where it's like you're drinking water. Some think, I'm going to spend 5-10 minutes in the morning, 5-10 minutes in the evening, 5-10 minutes before I go to sleep. All of these things, Habib, but if you do it, and alhamdulillah you're protected, believe me, you're going to be saying alhamdulillah, as opposed to a'yadhan billah if you were to not do it, and then get affected by sihr. And then you're calling every sheikh in the whole of Australia, Sheikh, please, 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 I need someone to look after me right now. I need someone to read on me right now. I'm going crazy. I need someone. People have threatened. Okay? Sheikh, if you don't do ruqya on me, I'm going to go and become a Christian. So, okay, what do you want me to do for you? If that's what, obviously it's a threat. The one person wants attention. That person had mental health issues. There wasn't ruqya. Okay? But even if I wanted to help you, but how can a person can't just stop their life? A person can't just stop their life to help. Then do you do anything? I know the person. I know who they are. No salah, no deen, no nothing. Are you going to look after yourself? This is one of the main reasons why I've never ever been interested in getting into ruqya. Now, alhamdulillah, we've helped some people that we know close to us, and alhamdulillah, it's been very good. Now, but then there's other people that we know. And for example, I know that they don't pray and it's very bad. And I'll tell them straight out, okay, brother, I'm happy to help you, but you got to start praying and this and that. Are you going to do it? He goes straight out, Shaykh, no. So I said, Jazakallah khair, assalamu alaikum. They didn't even actually want the help. They were happy with their life to be stuffed up. They weren't happy. They were extremely depressed. Their problems were extreme between him and his wife and their kid. Extreme problems. Naam. But it was the mother that wanted him to get help. Please, and you know him from before, and he's slack and he's your friend. So subhanAllah, we went, but this is the reality. This is the reality. It's a very bad, dark place to be in. Naam, but a Muslim should not allow himself to get to that place, a'yadhan billah. Okay? What are some reasons for a person to get possessed? Again, there are many reasons. Okay? I know this isn't a lesson on sihr, but I know these are common questions that people might be asking or thinking. There are many reasons or ways for a person to fall into or to be affected by sihr. From amongst them is a person having someone else, for whatever reason, do black magic against them. Okay? They go to a sahir because they're getting divorced, or an ex-business partner, or someone that you're really annoyed, or someone who was jealous, okay, that envious, like maybe an auntie or someone. They can go to a sahir and do sihr on a person. It could be someone that's affected by things like ayn, okay, who was affected unintentionally. Okay, just like sihr, we translate as black magic. Again, all magic is bad. There's no white magic or black magic. Same thing with ayn. When we translate ayn to English, what do we say? The evil eye. It's not the evil eye, it's just the eye. Okay, why? Because a person doesn't need to be a bad person to give someone else ayn. It could be your best friend that you love. But for example, he's wearing a watch that it was nice. So far hectic watch, bro. The rings fall off. Now, it's not that you were jealous or envious or that you wanted that for yourself or that you're a bad person. Okay? The majority of people actually give ayn to themselves or their own children. The majority of people actually give ayn to themselves or their own children. Why are you guys sitting here? Allah yahdikum. I wear glasses, but I don't have that much vision. Move over here. Every time I look here, I feel that someone's going to do something bad to me. Now, for example, a person, he mashallah gets to the gym and he's got a good body, tabarakallah. So he looks into the mirror and he's looking at his arms and his biceps and his triceps, tabarakallah. And he looks similar to me, and he doesn't make dua for himself. He doesn't make dua, he doesn't say, Allahumma zid wa barik, mashallah, tabarakallah, etc. So he's looking at himself and he's now happy with himself. Very easily, what happens with this person? He gives himself the ayn. Okay, and he can cause himself issues. Okay, and it could be sick, or it could be a torn muscle, it could be he's unable to train for an unknown reason, could be a million things. Okay, it could be his kids. Like, well, my kids are amazing, my kids are so beautiful, my kids are so smart. And he didn't intend anything bad. But he gave them the ayn because of it, because he didn't make dua for them. Okay? Like the companion gave the ayn to the other companion. Okay? Because he looked at his skin and it was so smooth. Now, he said like, his skin is like smoother and nicer than a virgin girl. Who's like, she's very young and perfect, okay? In that sense, like she's got no blemishes, etc. Look, why is smiling that much? Allah yahdik. That's the most I've ever seen you interested in the lesson. So, he said it out of praise for his skin, that, mashallah, how nice his skin is. Now, and the person, fell. He fell, he dropped, he collapsed. The Prophet ﷺ, told him that, you're almost, going to kill your brother. Halla barak. Why didn't you make dua that Allah puts blessing in it? And this is why you say, Tabarakallah, Allahumma zid wa barik, etc. Now, so a person needs to be very careful with the ayn. Some people are more prone to ayn than others. And some of the ulama liken it like lasers. Like imagine a person has a laser that he shoots out of his eye. And as an example. Now, again, some people, they do unintentionally. Okay, unintentionally. But you do the afkar for your protection, and inshallah Azza wa Jal, you're protected from it. Now, if you see something you like, make dua for it. And on yourself, you obviously make dua for Allah to protect you, and the like. So the ayn, some people are more prone to do it than others, as we mentioned. Some people are known. And if you live in an Islamic society, and there is a person that is actually known for them to have ayn, and everything they look at breaks. They look at a car, it breaks. They look at a house, it falls. They look at a woman, she drops. Everything is bad. Okay? That person, Islamically speaking, is actually isolated from the society. The government, it's their responsibility to isolate them from the society. They are given food, drink, they're looked after. They're not in trouble because it's not in their hand. Now, they didn't choose to have it. But to save the society from their harm, they're isolated and they're looked after, and they're just caused to live by themselves. Now, so that not affect anyone. But there's some people, tabarakallah, they can't look at anything except dush. Okay, a problem happens, subhanallah. There are definitely cases of ayn, and al-ayn is haqq, as the Prophet ﷺ said, and it causes major issues. It causes major issues. The Prophet says that which most causes a person to enter his grave and a camel to enter the pot, he gets sick and you have to kill it before it dies. Now, after the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal is the ayn. Now, so it definitely affects a lot of people. How would a person cure the effects of ayn? Again, same thing. The ruqya that we mentioned, a person can put his hand on his head or his hand on the part that he feels is affected, read Quran, Al-Fatiha, the 3 calls, Ayat al-Kursi, or anywhere else in the Quran, and hope for cure, make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, etc., etc. Okay, all of these things are allowed. As long as it's from the Quran and Sunnah, it's allowed. Another matter that can affect a person when it comes to being affected besides sihr and ayn, a person can unknowingly be affected because they stepped on something, or because they drank something or ate something which a person didn't intend for them. And this can happen, and it is possible. Okay? Sometimes there may be like sihr on the floor, where someone, for example, put it, let's say for the owners of the house, and the hope is that they step on it and then they take it into their house. Naam, and a person went as a guest and they actually stepped on it first, accidentally. Naam, or a person put food and it was intended for someone, it's got sihr in it, and then they were affected by it. Okay? Again, if a person's protection is up, these things will affect him minimally, if they affect him at all. And it's very easy to go. But if not, even something that wasn't intended for you could afflict you. And it could be hard for you to get off. So be careful when it comes to these matters of sihr and ayn and the like. What is allowed for ruqya and what's not allowed? Because some people ask, okay, what about bakhur? Some people use bakhur, some people use oil, some people use honey. Anything that is halal to treat with is halal to treat with. Right? Anything that is halal to treat with, so honey, oil, bakhur, etc. These things are halal to use. They're halal to use as medicine. A person is allowed to use them in ruqya. Okay? So it's not a matter of, wallah, he can only put his hand on your forehead and read Quran and that's it. Okay, that's it. No, this is something that is open. Okay, the door of it is flexible. It's because it's medicine and it falls under the chapter of medicine. The chapter of medicine is vast. Okay, so a person is able to do it. He's just not allowed to use anything which is haram, like anything which is najas, etc., or anything which is shirk. Can a man go to a woman, or a woman go to a man? If there was no person of the same gender to carry out the ruqya, then a person is able to go to the opposite gender if it was needed. Can they touch? Okay, it is possible to touch, but it's not necessarily recommended to do it as first choice. So for example, let's say you're a woman that needs to go to Mayuraki. When you go, firstly, the person should just try, for example, reading from afar. Okay, like let's say you're sitting in the same room or you're sitting next to them, and without touching, the person recites. Okay, the person recites, and it has the effect that you want. Alhamdulillah, good. Let's say it doesn't have an effect and you want to get stronger, then this is when the Raqi can place his hand on the person where either it's on the forehead or where they're affected. This is something very important. It is allowed to be done, but you need to be very careful in how it is done. So if you're, for example, the person doing the ruqyah, or you're the person going to the ruqyah, make sure you don't accept that you're alone with the person. This is common sense. Okay? Yani if I'm a male and there's a female that is going to come get treatment, don't be alone in the room, because it's still khalwa. It's still khalwa. It's still being in private and in secret, un-Islamically. Yani she should have someone, especially from a male maharim, with her. Her brother, her husband, her father, someone that's with her, because they can easily pay attention. Now, and if you're the person doing the ruqyah, it's also very important that you have witnesses. Because la qaddar Allah, someone makes a claim about you, it's something very dangerous. Okay, and very bad for you, your reputation and the like. Now, whether they're right or they're wrong, doesn't make a difference. If they're right, if they're correct, and what they're saying is true, it's a massive issue. But if they're wrong, your reputation is demolished. Okay, so you need to be very, very, very careful regarding these matters. Now, so a person is, but it's not necessarily recommended to do the first time. And then, if they do go, also very important that they wear a very good hijab. Okay, a very good hijab. Why? Because if the person is affected by sihr or the like, then what ends up happening very easily, the person, if it's like a female, her hijab can start coming off, or her sleeves can go up, or her skirt can go up, etc. So she needs to be making sure that she's dressed appropriately. But don't go by yourself at all. Always go with a person. If there's anything that I forgot or left out, accidentally, inshallah, we can take in the questions if you have any. The 8th nullifier, Allahu Akbar. These ones are big one. مظاهرة المشركين ومعاونتهم على المسلمين والدليل قوله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا اليهود والنصارى أولياء بعضهم أولياء بعض ومن يتولهم منكم فإنه منهم إن الله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. Backing or supporting the polytheists and aiding them against the Muslims. And the evidence of this is the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "O you who believe, take not the Jews and the Christians as awliya," any protectors, helpers, friends, etc. But they are but awliya to one another. And if any amongst you takes them as awliya, then surely he is one of them. Verily Allah guides not those people who are al-zalimun, any polytheists, wrongdoers, the unjust, etc. Bismillah. Okay, firstly, مظاهرة المشركين ومعاونتهم على المسلمين, to assist the disbelievers against the Muslims. Against the Muslims. This part is very, very, very important. The next, the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, don't take the Jews and the Christians as awliya. A wali is not a normal like friend or a person, that, an acquaintance or a colleague. These people you're not prohibited to be good to. And the Prophet ﷺ was good to them. There is nothing wrong with that. But we're talking about as a group of people. Okay, if I'm a Muslim, who do I take as my close allies? Who are going to be those who truly want good for me? Okay, in all aspects, beginning with my religion. It's going to be obviously the believers. Now, and those who have their own goals and agendas and desires, then obviously, how am I going to take them as close allies? They're going to have goals and agendas that are against mine. And we see that in the reality of the world today and in global politics and the likes. Even they really, when they talk about themselves in their own political connections, when they talk about the West versus the East, the Arab world or the Muslim world, they talk about, they are not compatible with us. We're talking about how? The ones who speak with their open tongues. Now, they talk openly, like when it came to Ukraine and them accepting the refugees, as opposed to, for example, the Syrians, they said these are the people they're like us, they say the same values as us. They're Christians, they're white, they have the same values of democracy and the like. They're like us. As for the Syrians, then they're not like us. They have very different values. They're Muslims, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so they openly would say, we accept these people and we don't accept these people for these particular reasons. No? Even now, when it comes to for those that follow global politics, the border issue in America, okay, all the people coming over the border, what's their issue? The issue is not just that, wallah, Mexicans are coming in. No, the issue is how many terrorists are coming in. How many of the Chinese are coming in? It's all the Chinese now. Okay, alhamdulillah, we've got a new boogeyman. Now, how many Chinese are coming in? How many Russians are coming in? How many terrorist cells are coming in? Okay, it's not about, wallah, if there was a white person or two white people there, they're not worried about them. Now, but they did have a problem with the Mexicans because of illegal migration and work, etc. Yes, without a doubt. But it wasn't as big of an issue as it is now, because so many people are coming in, and so many of them are, from what they perceive, to be people who are not compatible with their way of life. Now, so this is obviously not something like limited to Muslims for anyone that wants to make it a big deal. This is something, as a Muslim, you should be close to people that have, on a bigger scale, the same goals and agenda as you, because you're going to be assisting one another. As opposed to someone who's got goals and objectives other than what I have, for them to push what they want. It doesn't make sense now that we fundraise for a church, for example. Doesn't make sense to anyone? Doesn't make sense for us to fundraise for a church. Now, why would I want to give money to someone who is calling people to worship other than Allah Azza wa Jal? That's the worst act that a person can commit in our religion. Now, someone may say, oh, but some Christians, they let Muslims pray there. If they want to do that, we say thank you. We say thank you, and we're appreciative of the goodness that they are providing. But it doesn't mean because you treat me a certain way, I need to treat you the same way back. Now, yes, we have mutual respect between us, and we're good between us, but I don't need to allow certain things because I have my own red lines. Would they allow, for example, someone to preach atheism there? Probably not. The conservative churches, would they allow someone to promote the LGBTQIA plus community and their agenda there? Probably not. Now, everyone has their red lines. This is a red line for us, and they have their red lines. And again, in a country like Australia, where you're meant to have freedom of religion, everyone is allowed to be able to uphold those red lines as long as they're not infringing on the rights of anyone else, as they tell us. The part which is kufr, وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّهُ مِنْكُمْ فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُمْ. So the one who takes them as these awliya and takes them as these close allies and assist them, etc., then that is kufr. فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُمْ. They are like them, meaning they are like the disbelievers. عَيَاذًا بِاللَّهِ. Explanation, and he hasn't put much of an explanation here, subhanAllah. Helping the kuffar infidels against the Muslims is a very important issue nowadays, since there is a great mix of the Muslims and the kuffar infidels. This action constitutes apostasy. Shaykh bin Baz rahimahullah in his fatwa said, the Muslim scholars have agreed that whomsoever aided, supported the kuffar infidels against the Muslims and helped them in any way, then he is a kafir infidel just as they are. Okay, just as they are. The meaning of helping the kuffar infidels against the Muslims is to be their aid against the Muslims by joining them and defending them by every means, in your words, writing articles, physical protection, etc. Helping the kuffar infidels against the Muslims can be done by protecting them, defending them, loving their aqidah, their false faith, imitating them in their religious customs, etc. Also helping them against the Muslims, even though the person dislikes their faith, is considered as kufr. Okay, also helping them against the Muslims, even though the person dislikes their faith, is considered as kufr, infidelity. The outcome of helping the kuffar infidels against the Muslims is weakening the religion of Islam, the rising of the kufr infidelity, and leading the false faith of the kuffar infidels to overpower the Islamic aqidah creed. Let's explain. This issue, like other issues, you've got the understanding that we need, and then you've got the very wrong understanding. The very wrong understanding is that any type of assisting of the kuffar against the Muslims is automatically kufr. This is completely wrong. This understanding here is completely wrong. Okay? The assisting of a kafir against the Muslims is split up into categories. You have that which is kufr, you have that which is haram, and you have that which is allowed. That which is kufr is to assist them, generally speaking, assist them in their kufr against the Muslims and Islam. Assisting them in their kufr against Islam and the Muslims, this is an act of kufr. Why? Because you as a Muslim are meant to be upholding and lifting Islam and its aqidah, which means assisting the Muslims and making sure they're strong, etc. So for a person to go and to assist the disbelievers against the Muslims, it is showing, whether you like it or not, that you actually prefer that the disbelief becomes more widespread and becomes the overarching power of a people over Islam and the Muslims. So you are happier with kufr than you are with iman. Otherwise you wouldn't have done the action. Let's just give a practical example. Let's just say the French, not now, forget anything that happens now, okay? Let's just say the French, when they colonize Muslim lands. For a person to say, I don't want Islam, I don't want the Sharia. These French, mashallah, they're advanced and they're smart and they have nice moustaches, etc. I want them to come and to rule the lands of the Muslims. I want to follow their way. I believe their way is better. It's more enlightened, it's more advanced. This is going to bring us more progress, etc. So I want their way, the way of the French, in the time of colonization, to be, to overpower Islam and the Muslims. So they assist them in doing so. This is an act of kufr, assisting the disbelievers over the believers. Okay? This is an example. Second type is not kufr, but it is haram. It's not kufr, but it is haram. And that is helping the disbelievers over the Muslims with a worldly benefit, or for a worldly benefit. Assisting the disbelievers over the disbelievers assisting the disbelievers over the believers for some sort of worldly benefit. Okay? For example, let's say a person became Muslim. This is an example. A person became a Muslim and their tribe and their family are Sunni Muslims. And they were fighting against Muslims. And this person, not because he likes kufr, but he fought with the disbelievers because they're his family and they're the people that he's with and that he's close to. So he fought with them because of the love of his family, not because of the love of kufr. Not because of the love of kufr. He fought against them. Some of the ulama did not consider this type to be kufr. Okay? There is some difference of opinion. Okay? Many of the kuffar did not consider this type to be astaghfirullah, not fighting against. Assisting and promoting their ways. Not fighting. If they went and assisted them in the fighting against the Muslims, this is kufr. My apologies. This is kufr. But in supporting them financially or supporting their ways or wanting that tribe to be big and strong, okay, even if it meant at times at the expense of the Muslims, then because it was for his tribe and for his people, and that was a worldly benefit for him, then the ulama said that this is not kufr. This is haram, but it's not kufr. Okay, this is not kufr. Other times that it's not kufr, this is not necessarily a sensitive topic, but many people have misunderstood it. A person doing something that is considered wrong, and it might be considered kufr, the act might be considered kufr, but the person didn't intend it. And this is a famous story of Hatib radiallahu anhu. There's a famous story of one of the companions, Hatib radiallahu anhu, who sent a letter from Al-Madinah to the people of Mecca, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is preparing an army, etc., etc., etc. So this letter was found. And when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked Hatib, why did he send this? He said, Ya Rasulullah, do not hasten, do not be fast, relax. I sent this knowing with 100% that Allah is going to give you victory. And my heart is 100% content with Iman. The reason I sent it is because the other companions, they have family, big people in big status, that protect their family in Mecca. As for me, I don't have anyone. So I sent this letter in the hope that my family be protected. Umar radiallahu anhu called him a munafiq. Ya Rasulullah, allow me to strike the neck of this munafiq. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that what Hatib said is truthful. That he didn't do it out of disbelief. He didn't want bad for the Muslims. He did know that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to assist the believers. And he wanted that worldly benefit of his family being protected. So this, some of the ulama, or many of the ulama took from this, that he did not commit an act of kufr because he didn't want the disbelievers to affect the believers. But he done it for some sort of worldly benefit, money, etc. He didn't fight with them, but he assisted them with information for a worldly benefit. Okay? Some of the ulama still consider the kufr. Many of the other ulama said no, from the story it's clear that he didn't consider kufr. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ didn't tell him to repent from ridda, nor did he do iqamat hadd ridda, etc. Now, and this is, being a jasus, this is a major problem. For a person to be a spy and to betray the Muslims, this is a major issue. And generally speaking, this person is put to death. Now this person is put to death. But the Prophet ﷺ said that he's from the people that witnessed Badr, and Allah Azza forgave the sins of the people of Badr. So the Prophet ﷺ saying that Allah forgave the sins of the people of Badr shows that it was a sin, not that it was kufr. But again, there is that difference. There is that difference of opinion. So a person shouldn't go to extreme. If a person did say, Wallah, they betrayed the Muslims, he's a kafir, or he didn't, we don't know, he said that he done it out of a worldly benefit. So it's still haram, but it's not kufr. Okay, there is that valid difference of opinion. For us to be clear, you don't do either. Okay, you don't do either. Whether it's haram or it's kufr, obviously, you don't be clear. If there's Islam in the Muslims, then this is something that you try and promote. It's something that you try and help and assist the growth of and the promotion of. And when there is something that goes against it, okay, something that goes against it, obviously this is something you do your best to stop. And if someone wants to bring in secularism to a country, or so-called democracy into a country, and they want to bring you by force. You don't get and assist those people over Islam and the Muslims. This is any common sense for anyone that has any a lot of faith in their heart. The darura, this is the last one, okay, where it's allowed. If a person needed to do it, and a person was forced or to threatened, etc., or they had no other choice, and they needed to do it, and this was the only way of them saving themselves, etc., or their families, where they had to assist, otherwise they would be killed or severely tortured, etc., then this is an exception. Okay, this is an exception. As for assisting the kuffar with the kuffar, then this is not included here. It's not a kufr. This is talking about here. The kufr is assisting the kuffar over the Muslims. Personal issues are not included in this. Okay, if a Muslim, for example, had a fight with another Muslim, and then you went because that non-Muslim is your worker, for example, and the other person was in the wrong, so you went and bashed the Muslim guy. Okay, this doesn't make you a kafir. Okay, again, it could be haram, possibly, but when it doesn't reach the level of kufr. One thing that you actually find linked a lot with this mukaffir is the want of the person, either through their actual want or through their actual actions. The want of this person for kufr to overtake Islam. This is a very important concept. Okay, the want for the person either through their actions, for their heart, their intention, or through their actions. It's not just like a simple, easy, wallah, go and have a punch on with someone and you assisted the kafir over the Muslim. No, we're talking about actions that bring upon major problems for the Muslims. Now, also not included in this is seeking help from the kuffar. Seeking help from the kuffar in of itself is not a mukaffir. This is a whole other issue. To al-isti'ana bil-mushrikeen, to seek help from the kuffar and the polytheists. This is a whole other issue that also does not come under this title. Naam. Firstly, is it haram or not haram? This is a discussion between the ulama. Some of the ulama say it's haram in all cases. Other ulama say it is allowed. Okay, it is allowed with conditions. So this is not a matter of kufr or not kufr. Naam. Some may ask, what about helping them against Muslims? Okay, helping them against Muslims. Again, this is where this discussion that we're talking about now happens. Is it kufr, or is it haram, or is it jaiz? And it all depends on the circumstances. Okay, it all depends on the circumstances. Inshallah Azza wa Jalla, we'll stop here. We'll continue next week if there's any